You are watching Travel World Online.
Namaskar, Sat Shri Akal. Welcome to today's episode of Travel World. After a long time, that's a good news. Indian government ने 5 lakh visa without any fees देने का फैसला किया है, which is a good news for people who want to visit India and for Indian travel treat. But unfortunately, हाले तक रेगुलर फ्लाइट्स शुरू करने ਲਈ कोई फैसला नहीं लिया गया है। आज ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੈਗੇ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਰਾਜੀਵ ਮਹਿਰਾ। ਮਿਸਟਰ ਮਹਿਰਾ ਇੰਡੀਅਨ ਐਸੋਸੀਏਸ਼ਨ ਆਫ ਟੂਰ ਆਪਰੇਟਰਸ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੈਜ਼ੀਡੈਂਟ ਹੈਗੇ। ਨਮਸਕਾਰ, ਵੈਲਕਮ ਮਹਿਰਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ। ਮਿਸਟਰ ਮਹਿਰਾ, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਨੇ ਹੁਣ ਅਨਾਉਂਸਮੈਂਟ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ ਈ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਤੇ 5 ਲੱਖ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ ਦੇਣ ਦੀ, ਇਸ ਖਬਰ ਦਾ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਕੀ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਹੈਗਾ?
All of us know that the e-tourist visa is there now, but the scheduled flights are still not there. Fares are stabilizing in, say, from UK or Canada, but not for other places at the moment. And there are many, just 28 to 29 countries which we have bubble agreement. They are the only people who could come. Far East is totally cut off at the moment. And we need to have bubble arrangements with Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, other places like Korea or Vietnam, from where we get a substantial amount of Buddhist tourists also. So our Prime Minister wants the Buddhist sector to do very well to begin with, and if we do not have connectivity with these countries, it cannot be done. And secondly, as we have written to the ministry, land arrangements to go to Nepal or to Bhutan should be resumed immediately, and others can follow later on. Now, the guidelines by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare have also been announced. Now, those are very confusing, and we are still not sure as to what it is. We have requested the ministry to clarify. And it should be a very simplified guideline. Now, somewhere it says RT-PCR test, somewhere it says no RT-PCR test, and somewhere it says 7 days quarantine. Now, if people or tourists coming from USA, which is not in the list, so-called list of not being quarantined, just to give you an example, then what will happen? No one will come here to be quarantined for 7 days. Because we are losing, if there is no quarantine in India on arrival, except in the case where a passenger tests positive, yes, definitely, why not? But if he's got both the doses, he's given an RT-PCR test on departure, RT-PCR test in arrival, and they all are negative, then why should we suffer for a quarantine? That is my question. And this is what we have requested. It should be a very simplified rule that everyone who's coming should have an RT-PCR test done before 72 hours before, should be fully vaccinated and arrival to an RT-PCR test, or RT-PCR test in those countries where you feel that the number is quite high still. Do an RT-PCR test on arrival also. Where things are normal in those countries, then there's no need of RT-PCR test. And those who we do RT-PCR test, and if they are positive, then yes, the quarantine rules are applicable as per the Indian government laws. So that is very important, which is to be done. And thirdly, the most important thing is what will happen if a passenger tests positive on arrival during the RT-PCR test or during the tour. He will have to stay back, go to the hospital, or whatever the medical advice is. And his hotel accommodation needs to be cancelled, air tickets needs to be cancelled. There should be a mechanism which the government of India should formulate, that in such cases where an ICMR lab has confirmed the positiveness of the person, full refund will be given by the airlines as well as the hotels, or for other services like Palace on Wheels or safaris or whatever it is. This SOP has to be there immediately so that we can inform our clients that in such a situation, this is where we stand.
मिस्टर मेरा एक कॉल हो रहेगी हर स्टेट इच अलग अलग रूल्स ने प्रोटोकॉल्स ने
Most, I said rather all of them are allowing people who are fully vaccinated 15 days before the date of travel. Fully vaccinated passengers are being allowed by states without any problems now. Srinagar was left, they have also started that now. I think there is no state left now which is not following this order. So as far as that is concerned, I think that is not much of a problem.
In Delhi, when you go in a private vehicle, there are only 2 persons allowed. जबकि आप तुझे अगर अपनी गड्डी जा रहे हो तो you can go 4-5 people. मार्केज नहीं पीड़ हैगी. Do you find any sense of this kind of a protocol? What do you think? की कहना है बारे में?
The thing is that this came to our notice today morning only, or rather yesterday evening, and we have written to the Honorable Chief Minister of Delhi, who's the Vice Chairman of the Delhi Disaster Management, also, and to the Chairman, who's the Honorable Lieutenant Governor, to look at it and change these rules immediately. Because if I travel in my private car, there is no restriction. But if I travel in a cab, there is a restriction. And if a family of 4 from UK or America or anywhere is coming to India, do you mean to say they're going to travel in 2 vehicles? Never. They will not come. If they have children, even between the age of 15 and 18, they will not let them go in a separate car. As we would not allow our children to go separate if they are just 4 of us, if we go abroad or within India also. So one must realize all these things as to if this would have been the rule, would I have gone with my family to Thailand or to Sri Lanka or to America or to England under these circumstances? I would never have gone. But we expect traffic to come to India. The hotel industry, the guides, the drivers, everyone are, and the tour operators, travel agents are all weeping at the moment. 20 months without work. It's a very difficult time. And so are our fellow journalists of this trade. They are also in bad shape. So we must look into everything and somehow see that this sector comes out with easy rules. I'm not saying compromise with the safety and security of the other persons in our country, but wherever we can do maximum to increase the traffic of international tourists, we must do it immediately.
Mr. Mayor, do you think that there's a need of a task force at this stage where the industry stakeholders in the government should keep an eye all the time on the situation, and when something comes, like there should be a quick decision on all these things? When PM is talking of tourism now, again back on, and Secretary is talking, quick action is needed.
Unfortunately, Anilji, the problem is whether we have a task force or not. There is nothing which our ministry can do. Our ministry has to write to the other ministry. Today, I have written to the Director General ASI. I've got inputs yesterday evening that at the Taj Mahal, inside the Taj Mahal, none of the visitors are wearing masks. None. None of the CISF staff or the ASI staff are wearing masks. Now, if that is the situation, when foreign tourists come and we tell them that please wear a mask, they will certainly send pictures, videos of this abroad, that this is what is happening in India. Everyone is in the open without mask or any social distancing or anything. So please once again think before coming to India. So we are all we are still wearing masks. Well, the hotels in Agra, all the hotel staff are still wearing masks. Our guides and drivers are still wearing masks. But the monuments, inside the monuments, there is no mask. And this is not in Agra, in other places also. Other places also, I have seen people without mask. and there is no one to regulate that.
So when I was saying task force, that's what I meant. Task force means industry stakeholders, ministry, home ministry, ASI, who is involved in all these. Some senior persons from all these ministries should be at one place, and then they have what powers to discuss and do the needful.
Then if there are people from the other ministries there, and it should not be that if a joint secretary level officer is in the task force, he does not come, he sends an assistant director, then it is no good. It is no good of the task force. A person of a level of the joint secretary of in the other ministry, in any other ministry, is there, and he understands, he will definitely take immediate action against what has happened.
Corrective measures, whatever is needed.
He will just immediately take that. But if he is not available, and an assistant director level or a junior level than that attends that meeting, he will have to report to him, give his report before they can start doing anything else. So that needs to be checked as to what is to be done.
What is the status? What is the status of reinstalling the old visas? Any information on that?
The thing is that we have said that why are we wasting the new visas to giving those visas to people who are already holding the multiple entry long-term visas? Why are we wasting that visa quota of 5 lakhs? For what? If there's Mr. X who's coming to India for a week and he's already possesses a visa, and we ask him to take another visa, we are unnecessarily diluting that for some other genuine tourist. Because the long visas are held by people of Indian origin who have got foreign nationalities, or by those foreign nationals who have a lot of passion and love for this country. There are many foreigners who have taken long visas as they do want to come to India for a week or 10 days to go to Rishikesh or to go to Kerala or to go to somewhere else. They have a lot of love and affection for this country. And
Is there any condition while issuing e-visas?
Nothing, 30 days.
Foreigners only, or NRIs can also obtain?
No. You see, NRI is no definition. If I am holding an international passport, that is all. I am holding a US passport, UK passport. My name could be Indian, my name could be any American name. So there is no distinguish as such as an NRI. I am just a foreign passport holder entitled to an e-tourist visa for 30 days, single entry.
They have got dual citizenship, They have got US passport and that what you call OS card.
OCA card is not there. OCA card, anyone holding an OCA card can visit India. That's not a problem. He doesn't have to require a visa. That is the definition of the OCI card.
Okay.
You do not require a visa. You can come here. I'm talking about those Indians who have got foreign nationalities but do not have an OCI card. They definitely need a visa to come to India.
I see. Okay. Perfect. Thank you very much, Mr. Mehra.
Fine, sir. Let us.
नृत्य और संगीत बंदे दी जिंदगी च एक नई जोश भर दिंदे ने। छत्तीसगढ़ की राजधानी रायपुर 28 तारीख तो नेशनल ट्राइबल डांस फेस्टिवल शुरू हो रहा है। ਇਹਦੇ ਚ सिर्फ हिंदुस्तान दे नहीं बाकी बाहरी देशों ते भी कलाकार अपनी प्रस्तुतियां देंगे। एक रिपोर्ट।
छत्तीसगढ़ की राजधानी रायपुर शुक्रवार से आदिवासी कला के रंग और नृत्यों का सशक्त हस्ताक्षर बनने वाली है। राजधानी में 3 दिवसीय राष्ट्रीय आदिवासी नृत्य महोत्सव का आगाज हो रहा है। इस दौरान साइंस कॉलेज मैदान में आदिवासी थाप पर पूरा देश थिरकेगा। इस महोत्सव में 6 देशों सहित 25 राज्यों के आदिवासी कलाकार एक मंच पर अपनी संस्कृति को जीवंत करेंगे। महोत्सव का उद्घाटन कांग्रेस नेता और सांसद राहुल गांधी करेंगे, जबकि अति विशिष्ट अतिथि के तौर पर प्रियंका गांधी सहित अन्य नेता मौजूद होंगे। 27 दिसंबर से 29 दिसंबर तक होने वाले इस आयोजन को लेकर 4000 दर्शकों की क्षमता वाला विशाल डोम तैयार किया गया है। इसमें दर्शकों के बैठने के साथ ही ग्रीन रूम, फूड जोन और शिल्म ग्राम भी सजेगा। महोत्सव में भारतीय राज्यों के अलावा बांग्लादेश, श्रीलंका, थाईलैंड, युगांडा, बेलारूस और मालदीव के कलाकार भी शामिल हो रहे हैं। असम का बागरूंगा नृत्य, तेलंगाना का कोया, झारखंड का छाओ, ओडिशा का सिंगारी, गुजरात का सिद्दी, राजस्थान का सहरिया स्वांग, जम्मू का गुजर, हिमाचल प्रदेश का घुरई, लद्दाख का लद्दाखी, उत्तराखंड का झांझी, केरल का तैयम, महाराष्ट्र का तरपा, तेलंगाना का गुसाड़ी, मध्य प्रदेश का भगोरिया, अरुणाचल प्रदेश का रे, आंध्र प्रदेश का लंबाड़ी और उत्तर प्रदेश का गरद नृत्य का कलाकार प्रस्तुति देंगे। इसके बाद थाईलैंड, बांग्लादेश, बेलारूस, मालदीव और युगांडा के कलाकारों द्वारा अपनी सांस्कृतिक प्रस्तुतियां दी जाएंगी।
Chhattisgarh, the heartbeat of India, invites you to witness grander amalgamations of various distinctive tribal dance forms of different Indian states and countries. Dance to the beat of your heart. Feel the rhythm and essence of tribal art. And culture to the music coming from the Asian indigenous tribal instrument. Welcome to National Tribal Dance Festival from October 28th to 30th at Raipur, Rising City of India.
Friends, we have Mr. Sunil Kumar, President OFTA with us. Welcome, Sunil ji. Mr. Sunil, OFTA President today, world is opening up. पूरी दुनिया खोल रहे, पर second wave and third wave काफी countries आ रही हैगी. Different protocols there. So what OFTA is thinking on those lines, and what is the role of OFTA at this stage?
We are asking the governments, submitting to them as an appeal, as a recommendation from UFTA, a global travel and tourism federation. And our appeal suggests to the government that they must push to ensure early vaccination of their citizens, because that's important. And then establish emergency infrastructure to prevent loss of livelihood. When we talk about emergency infrastructure, we are also referring to a call number, unique call number. A tourist from another part of the world visits another country, something goes wrong. Now, whom shall he contact? So there has to be, that's one important aspect of a country supporting friendly tourism despite the pandemic. So people must get that confidence. I can go to this country. This is a number that's given to me. I can call that number and it's a 24/7 service. I will be redirected to somebody close to where I am currently stationed. So this is a kind of an infrastructure that is required. Maybe governments have thought about it. Some governments have not thought about it. So we want to stay it through our record, through our document. The next one is a corridor on travel formalities, immigration controls, restrictions on vaccinated travelers, and related procedures. They must be uniform and travel friendly. Each country can't have their own procedure, which is not complementary to one another. This is required particularly in view of the complex procedures some governments have initiated, which discourages travel and are seen by travelers as chaotic. So let the traveler feel comfortable. The governments can't have rules which are very arbitrary and don't complement with the rules of the other countries. They have to be more bilateral, reciprocal. Now, another aspect is governments have approved vaccinations in their respective countries to be administered, right? So each country has certified A, B, C or X, Y, Z vaccine, right? So people are vaccinated and certified. Now some countries are coming up with travel advisories, suggesting only specific vaccines can make travel. Now, this is most complicated. Instead of disqualifying travelers who are vaccinated by a vaccine outside your list, what the governments could offer can be serology and other related tests to check the status of virus in travelers. So they can't have, each country can't have their own rules. We will only permit people with this vaccine. That is not correct. It will kill tourism, it will kill the spirit of travel. Governments must also review the current bubble agreements. How long can this go on? I'm fully aware that government's trying to be more cautious. But then bubble agreements versus open skies, I think there's got to be a change there. A lot of travel agencies will have challenges. In some countries, we are informed that there are only a few select travel companies who can market these tickets and not everybody else. That's bad for the industry. So we're bringing up this point to the government. We are talking about international cooperation that exists in the development of vaccines must also be reflected in setting international standards for the management of passenger traffic between countries.
I think is the need of the hour.
It's time for the governments to support uniform policies that can ensure resumption of tourism and support normalcy and growth. So this is one agenda item for UFTA's way forward. A second item is we are wanting to partner with our national associations to bring in a new form of education, awareness to the existing stakeholders. And UFTA is ready to invest into this area. We are looking at partnering with advisors, technical advisors, content advisors, large technology companies, so that we can go region to region in this world and try and support travel companies to appreciate the business after pandemic. There will be a lot of new approaches that agents have to take. So we want people to become proactive right away, not wait for 2022. Because 2021 is the transition year and 2022 will be the main business year. So for us to be ready by the last quarter of 21 or for the business in 2022, in the next 4-5 months, we need to equip our members with as much content to help them change their business approaches and be ready for the post-pandemic travel and tourism scenario. So this is another area. Of course, UFTA will continue to grow, will expand to many more areas. We have had participation from Latin America, from Cuba, from Mexico, from a number of countries in Latin America who are very keen that UFTA must come there. So we are also looking at how UFTA can also get connected to our Latin American colleagues, because there are more than 20 associations in Latin America that are members of UFTA. And we are very, very keen, because I've been there, I know their quality, their spirit, they are very enthusiastic, and we are very keen that the world must interact much more with them. So these are some of the way forward scenarios. In addition, our pursuit with IATA on risk management of the airlines is a high priority. Always IATA and airlines have been working on the risk management of agencies in the last 10 years, 15 years. It's time now for us to insist, IATA, on the risk management of the airlines, because one airline goes bust. Look at the number of travel agents who are affected. So that's another very, very important agenda. And I hope this is something that UFTA will be able to, along with the support of the others who are a part of the Global Joint Council, we will be able to take up this matter to help bring in a healthy industry without any fear of participation. Yes, sir. Anything else?
That's what I wanted to ask you. IATA is always working for the sake of airlines. But when it comes to travel agents, what is the safeguard?
That is what risk management of the airlines is all about. I must say, UFTA was the first association or federation in the world. I have evidence to prove the document we have sent to IATA, and it was a very strongly worded document. We don't want our agents to suffer because of the financial challenges an airline is facing. In the past, IATA had put up so many restrictions to ensure that there is no agency defaulting, to protect the airlines. Fair enough. But now, there's a very important responsibility on IATA to ensure that the agents are not.
Travel trade, what in India can expect from UFTA?
UFTA doesn't work independently in countries. We work with our national association. TAI is an excellent member of UFTA. It's large. It can do so much that most associations in the world cannot do. It's a very eagerly looked to association of UFTA. And we are ready to partner with TAI as UFTA, bring the world to India to help TAI and travel companies in India address the way forward beyond the pandemic, which is now number one priority. Number one priority. There's nothing more important today than to make sure that an agent who's been waiting for last 16 months to get back to sustainability, he or she needs support. Those companies need education. Those companies need to be confident of the industry. And those companies need a lot of hand-holding. So that is most important. And that will be UFTA's role. When you talk about India, UFTA and TAI can partner to take up any activity in India. But unfortunately, from a focus perspective, in India, tourism is not an important priority to the government. So what they are offering to us is part two. Part one will be how important is travel and tourism to government of India as an industry. If you don't address that first, everything else will not actually fall in place. Now I must decide what are the priorities for me in my life. Once I decide on my priorities, then I am coming up with strategies, or I'm coming up with proposals, or I'm coming up with situations which can complement my priorities. So for government to offer something like what they've done before, well, thank you, is the first thing I would share with the government. But all I'm trying to say is, maybe it's not enough. What is required is that there must be a priority of travel and tourism industry in their first 5 things that they want to do, or the first 10 things that the government wants to do. Now the government's addressing Indian citizens, India, and comparing India globally. What is it we can do for India? So they need to list their priorities. And huge investment has been made by stakeholders in the area of travel, tourism, hospitality, and government needs to focus on that as a priority segment. Now, once it comes into their mind that this is a priority segment, then you will find that what they offer will be much more of value to the stakeholders in that industry.
You are watching Travel World Online.